Hi, I'm Kevin James Jackson, and welcome to another episode of Your Journey. As always, I'm thankful and happy that you have taken the time to watch this show. I do appreciate it, and I am humbled by that gesture. So, let's get into the show. Last show, I talked about, I challenged you all to find 5 people who that you barely knew or you didn't have conversation with, or somebody you felt that needed encouragement and inspiration and motivation. And I asked that you reach out to those people and give them 5 encouraging things, whether it was poem, writing, quotes, a picture, or a song, or words from a song. And I ask that you take that and individualize that to each and every person, that you don't use it twice. So of course I did it, and it was more challenging than what I thought it was going to be, because what I did, I decided to write it personally to each of those people on what I knew about them, and I decided to do it and curtail it personally for them. And I wanted them to know what I was thinking and how I felt when I reached out to them to offer them the encouragement or the affirmation statement or inspirational statement. So I'm glad that you did it, if you did it, and I'm sure, and I hope you felt that what I felt, that doing it made me feel good. Whether they responded or not, it didn't matter, because I felt good giving it. But remember, you give to give, not give to get. Although everybody that I sent it to, they did reach back and told and said some positive things, and how how they felt, and they was touched by it, and it really made them feel good. So I was happy about that. So this show is going to be a continuation of depression. If you remember back before, I told you depression is so enormous and so big that, and it affects people in different ways, that it's something I can't talk about in one episode. So I'm gonna have to do multiple episodes on it, and I'll continue to keep coming back to it. And the reason that I talk about depression so much is because I think it's so enormous, and so many people are suffering from it, especially during this time of the pandemic, especially during the time of the holidays, and especially in the winter time, because people suffer from what they call seasonal affective disorder, which is a form of depression, and it's like the winter blues. And so I think it's important that to continue to kind of talk about that message of depression, and to offer solutions, concrete skills that can help people in their home without them going out spending money or doing whatever going out spending money and creating more anxiety and more stress from it. So that's why I'm gonna keep doing it. In all my shows, I wanted to be uplifting. I wanted to motivate people. I wanted to get people going. And also I'll relate it, because I went through depression so many times in my life, I didn't even know what depression was. And then when I found out what depression was and the symptoms and characteristics of it, I'm like, oh my God, I've been going through that my whole life. So that's why, and I want to talk about the skills that I use and what I went through, and hopefully that it can help you, because I know they work. So in this episode, I want to talk about a time in my life, a specific time in my life when I was truly depressed. I think this was the worst I had ever felt in my life about being depressed. And it was a time where I was going through a custody fight for my twins. And so I was getting my butt kicked. I mean, the judge hated me, the child advocate hated me, the lawyers hated me. I mean, they were dumping on me, and I was going down. I was in a dark place. And so, and then, because in my mind, the visitations, what they call visitation, I don't believe in visitation, that word. I wish they would get rid of that word. But the time that the twins would be with me was every other weekend, one day during the week, and 1 week in summer, something like that. So it was only 79 days. And I couldn't fathom only seeing my children 79 days out of 365 days. So that tore me down. At the same time, the child support hit. So that tore me down. And then it happened at the time in the summer where we wouldn't get paid in the summer anymore. So that tore, so I didn't have any money. I mean, I was gone. I was a broken man. And we're going to talk about that in future episodes about broken men. But I was a broken man. I was at the end of my rope. I really was. And I was in a deep depression, and I was in a dark place, and I was going even darker. But again, I had some skills. So I had my social worker, so I have some skills. So I knew how to kind of prevent myself from going into that deep place and not being able to come out. And so one of the things that I want to tell you about, if you're depressed, and these things truly do help, the most important thing is for you to get is to have a routine. You need a routine. You need a reason for getting up out of that bed every morning, whether it's work or whatever you need to do. You got to have a routine. So my routine was, when I was depressed and going through and I was broken, I used to take my twins to daycare, preschool, whatever you call it. So I would go over to their mom's house, pick them up, and take them to their preschool, and it was a very good school. Come to think of it, but anyway, when I got up in the morning, when I used to date women, this is going to be so ironic, and they would get up, and I would see them make their bed. First thing they did, made their bed, and I saw them like, put the sheet on, put the cover, put the comforter or duvet cover, and they would bring it right up to the inches of the headboard and put it down the footboard and made sure it was straight and everything was aligned and the blankets were even on both sides. And I used to make jokes about them and I used to laugh about them. I'm like, that's crazy. And because I got a thing for anal women, but we'll talk about that in future and high maintenance women, but we'll talk about that in future videos. And I used to think that was so crazy. I'm like, oh my God. So guess what? Every morning I get up and make my bed. Every morning. And I do the same thing. The sheet, the cover, the comforter, and I make sure it comes to a certain level of the headboards, push it down in the footboard, footboard. I would make sure they even on both sides, make sure they're straight. I do it every morning. And what I want you to know is not about making a bed. It's about what making the bed does for me. And when making my bed in the morning, and not now, but in previous years before, when I woke up in the morning, I always woke up with a negative mind frame. This day sucks. I'm dumb. I'm stupid. This is going to be a long day. I hate this day. I hate that day. I always woke up with that negative mindset. And so making my bed, it brought me serenity. It calmed me down. It brought me to my core self. And it helped me to prepare myself for the day. And the other thing was that making my bed prevented me from getting back in it. Because I've done that a few times. That's before I started making my bed. But when I made my bed, it prevented me from getting back in it. And then it pushed me on to my day. Then taking my children to school, that was also part of the routine. So after I would take them to school, I would come back, park my car, and because I had a tank full of gas, and that was the most valuable thing I owned at that time was the gas. I'm telling you, when I tell you, we're going to talk about being a broken man, but I was a broken man, broke and broken. So anyway, so what I would do, like I said, I had skills, is that I would go walk. And there's a jewel that's about 1 3/4 or maybe a little less than 2 miles from my house. So I would go to Jewel, I would walk to Jewel late morning and early evening. And I would walk there and they had a Starbucks inside of it. And a friend, because I used to love Starbucks, I used to drink their tea all the time. So a friend of mine she had given me a Starbucks gift card for my birthday. So I used that Starbucks gift card to buy tea, and then I would buy a Sun-Times newspaper. And so I would sit there. My goal was to sit there for an hour. Sometimes I would go an hour and a half, if I felt like it, because I needed to be out my house. And so if I walked a half an hour, I was at Starbucks for an hour, hour and a half, and then I walked home. We're looking at about two and a half hours being out of the house, because I felt that I needed to be out the house, because your house can become your prisoner. It can lock you in and encapsulate you and keep you isolated and cut off from everybody and everything, and only have you going out when you need to. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to be cut off from everybody. I needed to get out, because I knew that would be great for my depression, my stress, and my anxiety that I was going through. So anyway, After a while, of course, I was broke. I couldn't get a Sun Times newspaper. So I'm like, man, let me take my laptop, because I didn't want to just sit in Starbucks nursing tea. So I'm like, you know something? Let me take my laptop, because I always wanted to write a book about, I like Alex Haley Roots. I always wanted to do a family tree and genealogy book. And I felt that I could do it, because although I didn't know my family, don't know anything about him or his side of the family, I knew my maternal side of my family. Because although I had my stepfather was in my life from 9, but I was raised by my mother, my aunt, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother. I knew all of them. And I even knew information about my great-great-grandmother down in Arkansas. So I wasn't going to, start writing it then. I just wanted to do something to occupy my time. So I was just going to type, just type. And my goal was just to type and then save it somewhere, and then worry about it later. Just put whatever information down I needed to put down, and just worry about it later. Because when you're depressed, you don't want to think. Even thinking hurts. Even thinking makes you tired. You just want to lay there and watch TV. So I bought my laptop. I went to Starbucks and I started typing. It was easy to start because I just started with my name. I was like, I'm Kevin James Jackson, oldest of 6, my mother's name, and all this type of stuff. And once I started typing, I couldn't stop. Then it went from a genealogy book to an autobiography. And I started with my earliest memories, and I went all the way up into that present time. And the thing about writing an autobiography is that our memories in general are compartmentalized, in different compartments. We see a high school, oh yeah, I was in high school, I played football, I ran track. Oh yeah, I went to this college. Or yeah, I used to work in this building, I used to work in that neighborhood. So they're like kind of in different departments. When writing my autobiography, it was a continuation. So writing it, I saw so many different patterns. And I saw the reason. It helped me to understand a lot of decisions that I was making and why I kept repeating the same stuff over and over again. I'm telling you, it's an amazing journey. And it helped me to understand. And there's a saying that says, if you don't know your past, you're doing to repeat it. Now it made sense to me. So anyway, in writing my autobiography, I was writing some of the most painful things in my life. The pain, the abandonment, the separation, the hurt, the betrayal, the being used, being taken advantage of, not loved, not wanted, my insecurities, all these things started coming out. So the hatred and the anger that I had about going through the process of custody and child support, that was there too, but it was everything else from my childhood that left up to that. It was all that hurt and pain. It just kind of brought it all up when I was going through that process. So getting back, I'm writing, I'm excited. I only woke up in the morning for two things, for my twins and to write. It became an obsession. I became obsessed with writing every day. But inevitably, you know what happened? Inevitable. You know what happened? My insecurities, my low self-esteem, everything kicked back in. It kicked back in. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to delete all this. I'm like, I'm not writing a book. I'm going to delete it. I'm deleting everything. And so I packed up my laptop, left Starbucks, and my brother called me. He would call me 2 or 3 times a day, and he would always want to know the progress of the book. Because I told him, man, where you at? How far you got along? And I said, listen, dude, I'm not writing a book. I'm going to delete everything. He's like, delete it? Why are you going to delete it? I said, well, I did a little research about publishing and getting your book published. I said, to get a publisher, you got to send a query, which is like a letter of interest. Then you got to wait. And if they find a letter of interest, then they ask you for a summary. Then you got to wait. When you send a summary, you got to wait. Then they ask you for a chapter, and you submit a chapter. Then you gotta wait. Then they may ask you for another chapter. Then you gotta wait. I said that process is a whole, that could be a whole year or longer. I said, and part of writing this book is me taking control of my life. So when I finish writing this book, I'm giving it to somebody else, and I'm waiting for them to say yes and no about publishing it. I said, that makes no sense. I said, then on top of that, if I publish it, who's going to read it? I said, who's going to read the book? What I went through in my life, everybody's been through that. This ain't nothing new. And I said, this is not a rags to riches story. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. I'm a nobody. I'm an everyday person that's walking up and down the street. Why would they want to read the book? So my brother said 5 words. My brother looked at me, he said, and he paused and he said, man, just write the book. And him saying that, it was like a wake-up call. It was like a Mike Tyson punch to my face. And what he said was so right and so real. I remember when Oprah Winfrey had a talk show. She had a talk show. And she was moving from a talk show to like a authentic self, know yourself, core authentic self, like a spiritual self-awareness, self-love, self-care type of show. And Oprah Winfrey used to say all the time, live in the moment. I never knew what that meant. And now we used to say, of course, Oprah, you can live in the moment, you rich. When I get rich like you, I'll live in the moment. But she never lied, and it's so true. She was beyond ahead of her time. And she is so right. It's about living in the moment. And what happened was that I thought about my whole life. And my whole life was about goals. And my whole life was about accomplishing those goals. That's all I focused on, accomplishing the goal. I wanted to be on a football team. I wanted to be on a track team. I wanted to graduate from high school. I wanted to go to college. So everything was about accomplishing the goal. I wanted to accomplish the goal. And even like weight loss, I wanted to lose weight. So I would try all these different methods for weight loss. And so what I would do is I would try for 2 weeks and I get on the scale and I'm saying to myself, man, I know I lost 5 or 10 pounds. I would get on the scale and I lost maybe 1 or 2 pounds. Then I would get mad. I'm like, something, that weight loss is full of crap. I'm not doing that anymore. And what I didn't realize is that it's not about the weight loss. It's about the journey to the weight loss. If I had it in my mind, if I had that capacity at that time to say, hey, it's about the journey, man. Just enjoy the journey. Don't worry about the goal. You're going to reach the goal. Just enjoy the journey of going through the process of losing weight and changing your eating habits and becoming healthy. Just enjoy that. Same thing when I'm dating. When I'm dating, I meet a girl, I'm like, oh man, we connecting, we clicking. Yeah, baby, let's go. When's the second date? When's the third date? Okay, we cool, we in a relationship. Let me meet your family, your friends. You meet my family, my friends. And it's like, jumping steps and getting all the way up to that point. And I realized that I never enjoyed the journey of just dating, of just getting to know her. Relax. Stay in the moment. Stay in the presence. Live in the moment. Just enjoy the journey of getting to know somebody. Take your time. Let the process unfold. Trust the process. So this was the first time ever in my life. When he said that to me, I said, he's 100% right. So I threw all that out. I'm like, I don't have a deadline when I want to finish the book. I'm not worried about publishing. I'm not worrying about who's going to read it. I'm not worrying about any of those things, because those things I don't have control over. But I got control over writing it. And I said, I'm just going to enjoy this journey. And I enjoyed every day of writing. I enjoyed the whole process, and I took my time. And that was the best journey that I had ever been on, because it was my therapy. It was so therapeutic. And it was part of the process of me letting go of the hurt, the pain, the betrayal, the lies, the backstabbing, letting all of that go. And that was my therapy. It took me 18 months to write it. And during those 18 months, I was giving myself therapy, and then let go. I'm not telling you to write a book so people can read about your life and put it out there, but I'm just saying that writing is definitely a skill to helping you deal with some of the symptoms you're going through with depression, and kind of help release some of that pain and hurt that you may have by putting it down on paper. So, in that process, I wrote the book and I finished, and I learned that the whole process of standing in the moment and enjoying the journey. So that's what I'm telling you. Stay in that moment, live in the moment, enjoy the process of bringing yourself out of the depression. Take some of these skills, use some of these skills, and just enjoy the process. And don't worry about it, because it's going to take time for it to start working. It's going to take time for it to be a part of who you are and a person in your routine. So just stay with it. Also, stay connected to your friends. That's so important. One of my girl, Jackie, she would call me and she was like, "Hey, what you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." She said, "You want to go out to dinner? You want to go out to lunch? Hey, come on out here to Aurora. We can go shopping. We go to the mall and we hang out." And my inclination was, "Nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that." Jackie was like, "Okay, I'm coming to you then." I'm like, "All right." I'll come out there. So I would go out there with her, and then my best friend Raymond Pittman and Keith Fagan. They were like, "Man, we coming over to your crib." I'm like, "Well, the twins are here." He's like, "Man, shit, the twins know us. They know we their uncles. We coming on over." So they would come over with chicken and food, and we watch football. We would laugh and joke. So it's important that you stay connected to your family and your friends, because that's definitely important, and can help with the process of helping you to overcome depression. So that's really important. Again, I talked about getting outside. Walking it covers a multitude of inspirational things and motivation for you. For one, it's great exercise. For two, it gets you out in that fresh air, breathing it in, breathing it out. Three, it gets you out of your prison. It gets you out of your prison, gets you outside. And though you may not interact with people, it's just good just to walk and see people walking and see cars and see people in stores or whatever. It's just good to get out. Four, if the sun is out, that vitamin D you need, and it makes you feel good. Five, it definitely drops your anxiety. It drops your stress level. It drops your emotions. Because a lot of time when we are caught up in our emotions, we make decisions. And I tell people all the time, never making emotional decisions, because those are the ones you normally regret. When you mad, when you hurt, you angry, you want to fight, you want to cuss people out, you want to cut them off, you want to block them on social media, block them out your phone. And then eventually, once you calm down, your rational thinking come back, then you try to come back and kind of make up for that. So I tell people all the time, don't make emotional decisions. So let yourself calm down. So walking definitely helps bring down those emotions, and to help you think logically as well. And it ain't got to be a fast walk or a fast pace. It could just be a leisurely stroll. It doesn't have to be an hour, 2 hours. It could just be 15, 20 minutes, and maybe do it twice a day. I used to do it twice a day. So that's why it's important for you to get outside, because it definitely helps in so many different ways. Another thing that I started doing, remember back when I told you I was making up my bed and I would have these negative thoughts and self-loathing and all that sort of stuff? What I started doing years ago is that I stopped watching the news in the evening. I don't watch the news in the evening. After 5 or 6 o'clock, I no longer watch the news, because the news tells you about a lot of negative things that's going on in the world and in your community and in the city. So I stopped watching the news after 5 or 6 o'clock. Now I get up like at 6:30 in the morning, so I watch the local news and then I watch the national news. But after that, I stopped watching the news. The next thing is limit your time on social media. Right? So, because social media can be so negative as well. So, say, from 7 to 8, I'm not going to look at social media, or I'm not going to look at social media from 9 or when I go, an hour before I go to bed. Or you could say, hey, if I see 4 negative things on social media, I'm going to put the phone down for 20 minutes. And then, if you want to get back on it and look for something positive, that's fine. But kind of put restrictions and limitations on your social media, so that way, because it's a lot of negative things too, and you don't want to go to bed with that on your head, because you can wake up in the morning with that on your head. Secondly, bring good and happy spirits into your home. before I even had children, I always had a Christmas tree and I always had a wreath on my door. And I would go out and buy myself Christmas gifts and I would wrap it and put it under my tree. And I would open them on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day because it's about self-love. It's about taking care of yourself. And it's so easy. We don't think about it. We truly don't. I know I don't, and I'm average, and I know other people don't as well. We so caught up in buying other people gifts and taking care of other people, making sure everybody else have it, that we don't buy our own self Christmas gifts. So buy yourself a Christmas gift, wrap it, put a Christmas tree in your house, put a wreath in your house, or bring happy spirits within your climate, whether it's Thanksgiving, Halloween, or whatever. Bring it into your home and whatever you celebrate. Also, bring in a dog or a cat. Get a dog or a cat. That's fine too. Or get one of them Peloton bikes and do aerobics or whatever. And people do yoga. People do meditation. So bring kind of that spirits into your home. Have you ever went to a home where it was like, oh my God, this dead up in here? Or you could feel the negativity or deadness. It's like, oh my God, I'm glad I don't live here. Bring that liveliness, bring that love into your home, because remember, this is where you spend most of your time. So you want to have that when you walk into your home, that feeling of love and happiness. So definitely bring that into your home. I remember one of my best friends, Eugene Coker. He has a karate school. When we were in college, he had an aquarium, a fish tank, a big fish tank, and he loved his fish. And he would take care of them and feed it and clean it. And for him, that brought him that serenity. That brought him that calmness. That brought him back to his core, his authentic self. And he loved that. So aquariums are also a good idea as well. But whatever it is that can make you feel good and happy about walking into your home, hey, do it and put it in there, because that's important. Now, this is also important. If you feel you have to, please get professional help. It's important. And there's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist or seeing a counselor. There is nothing wrong with that. When I tell parents and students in my school, I'm like, look at it as like LeBron James. LeBron James was born with the talent that he has, one of the greatest basketball players that ever played the game. He was born with that talent. But he needed a coach to teach him the game of basketball, because he didn't know the game of basketball. But he needed that coach. It's the same thing with us. We're born with our feelings. We're born with our emotions. We're born with these things inside of us. So sometimes you need a coach, a counselor, a therapist to help us to understand why we feel the way we feel, and also how different things in our environment affect how we feel. And how we see things and we perceive things affect how we feel, even though the perception is not always reality. So you need kind of that coach, that counselor and therapist to kind of help you to process and kind of put things in place. So there's nothing wrong with that. So don't feel bad that you're seeing a coach. That's what I call it. All right. And so also the last thing I want to tell you is that trust the process. Whatever the process may be, trust it. Trust the process of losing weight. Trust the process of buying a house, getting a job, buying a car, looking for your soulmate, or whatever. Trust the process, or even trying to get out of a depression. You have to trust the process, because it'll work. It's going to take time for it to become part of your routine and for you to develop a rhythm and a chemistry with it. But you got to trust the process, and you got to hang in there, and you can't quit. You can't give up. Is it hard? Hell yeah, it's hard. Is it tough? Hell yeah, it's tough. But so are you. The previous video, I told you, you are in a fight. This is a fight. And now you have weapons to fight depression. But you gotta use it, and you gotta develop it, and you gotta trust the process. Okay? And lastly but not least, I want to leave you with this. This quote is from Albert Einstein. And Albert Einstein says, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." That's powerful. As you can see, it's back here over my head. That's powerful. So that means that we have to gather information from outside sources to help us to come up with a plan to solve our problems. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that this video will help you or give you some idea to go and look for other ways to kind of help you solve the depression that you're in, and hopefully give you hope and give you motivation and give you inspiration. Because I'm telling you, I love doing these. And the way it's going now, I'll probably be doing these for the rest of my life. I probably need to do them a little bit more frequently because I got so much stuff in me that I want to get out. And I'm definitely trying to do it more frequently. But like I said, when I do the videos, I want to give you concrete, solid information. I don't want to give you no bull crap. And I want to give you information that you can start working on today. And I don't want you going out spending any money. All right. So to wrap things up, let me just tell you this, is that in writing my book was the start of my journey and start of my evolution for myself. And what I realized is that I didn't know me. I didn't have any confidence. I had low self-esteem. I had a lot of insecurities. I had a lot of negative things I thought about myself, and I didn't feel good about myself. And so that journey of writing that book helped me to find me. So that's why the name of my book is My Journey to Kevin James Jackson. Now, the reason that I gave it that title is because I want people to take my name out. Take my name out. Put your name there. My Journey to John Smith. My Journey to Myself. Put your name in there because it is a journey. That's why I named these shows Your Journey, because it's your journey. And you're responsible for it. So take control of your life. Control what you can control. Give yourself self-love. Give yourself self-care because you deserve it and you're worthy. You are the person that you're waiting for. You are that person. So take that name out, put your name in there. Hey, let's get rolling on this journey. And I'm going to give you everything information I got. I'm going to give you everything I got so it can help you along on your journey. If you can use it, fine. If not, you ain't got to use it. You don't have to use it. I just find so much pleasure, so much joy in doing these videos that I love it. I love it. So also, if you want to get in contact with me, that's fine. So my email address is kevin.jackson45@yahoo.com. KEVIN.JACKSON45@yahoo.com. My Facebook is Kevin James Jackson if you want to look for me on Facebook. I don't know my Instagram account. I don't know my Twitter account because I don't really use Instagram and Twitter as much, but I'm on Facebook. But I did put it down there. But if you send me a request and you want me to follow you or you follow me, I have no problems with that. Or if you don't, honestly, you don't have to comment. You don't have to send me anything because I love doing it. I'm getting satisfaction out of doing this. So again, it's just out there. If you just want to contact me or ask me some questions about some of the things I talked about, or if you want me to help you with anything, or if you just want to talk and vent, please feel free to do that. I'm not going to put my phone number. My friends were like, yo, you stupid. You can't put your phone number up there. So that's why I did the email address. But if you want my number, just email me and I'll send you my number and we can sit and talk and vent and discuss whatever it is that you want to discuss. Because again, this is your journey. And I want to give you all the information that you can on your journey. I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be encouraged. I want everybody to find their authentic and true self and learn the process of staying in the moment, of living in the moment and enjoying the journey. Thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate it from the bottom and depths of my heart. I wish, it's from my heart. And from the heart reaches the heart, I give to give. And I hope this helps you and encourages you and motivates you. And I wish you nothing but success, nothing but love, and nothing but God blessings on your journey. Remember, follow CDC guidelines, wash your hands, keep your social distancing, wear a mask, and keep your group small. And I wish you nothing but safe love, health, prosperity and God's blessing on your journey. Thank you so much, and I hope and pray that you have a great day on your journey. Thank you.